All right, so for the past couple weeks, I've been working on a new framework for Webflow called Hatch. So Hatch is a utility framework. It's very similar to Tailwind CSS, if you've ever used that. The idea is that it's made up of over 2,000 ready-to-use utility classes to help you quickly build your layouts. So there's classes for things like margin and padding, for things like flex, grid, font sizing, font color, background color, etc. But the idea is to get you up and running really quickly. So things like font sizing and spacing all scale down at each breakpoint by default, but you still have flexibility in the fact that there are breakpoint overrides. So you can change all the styles at tablet, landscape, or portrait if you want to for whatever reason. So I thought the best way to show you Hatch is to demo it. So in this video, we are going to be building this design using Hatch so you can see exactly how it works, and then you can go clone it and give it a try yourself. Okay, so this is the homepage that you're gonna see when you first clone Hatch. It's basically like a style guide on steroids. You can quickly go through and change colors and typography and such. But then if you go to the style manager, you can see you have almost 2,200 classes that you can use to build your designs. And then before you launch your project, you can go ahead and clean up any unused styles. But Hatch is really made to help you get going quickly. So if we scroll down, you can see we have colors, and there's global swatches for all sorts of different things that control our design. So there's a global swatch for our background color, our body text, our heading colors, brand color, button colors, link colors, border colors, form colors, etc. So what we can do, first off, I want to change the typography. So out of the box, Hatch comes with Poppins font, and everything inherits that from the body element. So in our design, I'm using a font called Sora. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the project settings. Let's go to fonts and just type in Sora. Let's see, where did that go? Here we are. And we're using a bold font and a medium font weight. So let's do a 700 and a 500 font weight on here. Add that font, and we'll just go ahead and delete Sora, or delete Poppins. All right, then go back to Hatch and refresh. Okay, so what we can do first to update the font, we need to go to body all pages. So I'm just gonna select the body element, and we'll go to body all pages, and the font family, we're gonna do Sora right here. Perfect. And then everything's already updated across the site, which is awesome. If for whatever reason you wanted to use a different font family for your headings, what you would need to do is select each one of the headings, level 1 through 6, go to all H1 headings, all H2 headings, and then just pick the font family. And then for this, I'm gonna real quick just define the font weight, like so. And you can see if we go to tablet and landscape and portrait, everything scales down automatically. So it works out of the box, but you have the option to either use different text sizing classes or just change the defaults yourself. All right, so now that the font is set, what I'm gonna do is go ahead and pull in some of the colors that we use from the design. Then we'll go set up a new page and start building the design. So first off, the background color. I'm gonna use Color Snatcher to grab that background. So each one of these circles, if you just click on them and go to the background, you can change the swatch, which will update that color wherever it's being used. So for the body color, we'll just go ahead and edit that swatch and change it to the color in our design. Click Save. The text color, we can go ahead and grab that. Change the body text color. And this is being used on body all pages. The headings color, we'll grab that. The brand color, we'll use this blue, like so. And you can see everything is being updated in Webflow. So for example, if I wanted to change the border color for whatever reason, I could do like red, and you can see anywhere it's using that border color, it automatically gets updated. And actually, while we're here, let's see, do we use any borders? We do. So we'll make the border color that. Perfect. Okay, and then I think we're almost there. Let's do also the buttons. So what we'll do is we need to tweak the styling of the buttons and then also the color. So for the color, let's grab that and we'll go to the button color, global swatch, just update it real quick. The button hover color, we'll change that. And I'm just gonna make this a little bit darker like so. And you can see if I go down to the button, it uses that color on hover. Okay, so what we can do to tweak the button is let's go ahead and tweak the padding. I'm gonna do 1 rem on all sides to make it a little bit taller. And then let's see, a font weight of bold as well. Font weight of 700. Like so. Perfect. And then one last thing I want to do for the headings, I use a little bit of negative letter spacing. So I could either do add a class to this called like letters type and to pull it in, but I think I want to do that on all headings. So what I'm going to do is just select all H1 headings and we'll do like negative 0.04 M on this, and I'll just do the same on the H2. The H3 we'll do like 0.3. Same on the H4, 0.3. And then we'll leave the H5 and the H6 alone. Perfect. Okay, so in terms of our design, we don't really use any other colors that we need to define. There's already a class for a white background, so we're good on that. So let's go ahead and create a new page. I'll call this copy home. Okay, so let's go ahead and start building this. I'm gonna start with this hero section. So I'm gonna be using some keyboard shortcuts to build this real quick. So Command E will drop in a section. Then we can add a class of section in base. And what that does is it adds 6 rem on top and bottom. Inside of here, we'll drop in a div and add a container of 1280 pixels. And then we need 2 columns. So for that, I'm going to do a div and do grid 2 columns. And let's do a line center, grid 2 columns, align center, so that the content is vertically aligned. Okay, so let's do a div for the content and then this image. So we'll do a div for here, drop in a heading, drop in a text block, and we'll drop in a button. And then over here, we'll drop in an image. And what I'm going to do is just grab that hero illustration, put that in there like so. Okay, let's grab the headline. And I want this to be a bit bigger, so I'm going to do text 6XL. Maybe that's a little large, text 5XL. And that makes it 4.75 rem. Okay, and we'll grab this unlimited. Let's make this a text medium. And I don't want the headline to be pushed right up against it. So what we can do, if we go to the documentation, it's just set up temporarily in Notion for now. Let's see, let's go to sizing. Let's do a max width. And you can see the sizing here. Let's say about 24 rem or 384 pixels. So we'll do max width small, like so. And that seems like a little small. Let's see, what does max width medium look like? There we go, that looks pretty good. Okay, on the text medium, I'm gonna add a combo class. We can do a margin bottom. So if we go back, you can see we have a bunch of different margin classes: margin top, bottom, left, right, vertical, horizontal, etc. Let's see, let's do like 32 pixels bottom. So margin bottom 8. There we go. Okay, and we'll do button on this, and the button said get started. All right, that looks pretty good. Next up, let's do this logo grid. So let's drop in another section, do a div, and this one I want it to be a little skinnier. So let's do a container of, say, 1024. Then inside of here, it's a 4-column grid. So we'll do a div, and we'll do grid 4-column. And for this, I'm going to do grid 4-column content centered. So what that means is each of these logos will be horizontally and vertically aligned. And I'm just going to drop in an image for each of these. Let's grab the logo ipsums, drop those in, and then swap them out real quick. All right, let's go back to the body, do a section. You know what I think would be better actually? So there's two different section types. There's section in, which is padding, section out, which is margin. I think let's do section out base. And we'll do that here, section out base, and here as well. Then inside of here, we'll do a container of 1280. Perfect. Okay, so this section is how it works. We'll start out by doing a heading, change it to an H2, and this will do text align center. All right, then below that, let's do a div, and we'll say that's gonna be a 3-column grid. And in addition, let's add some spacing. So if we go back to the docs, let's see, let's do maybe 3 rem. So we'll do margin bottom 12 on this. Perfect. Okay, then we need to do these 3 columns. All right, so we'll drop in a div. Let's see, we have a background of white, So background color white, like so. These also have a border radius. So we could do radius large. We also need some padding on this. So let's do padding of 8. And let's drop in a heading so we can see what we're working with. Make that an H4. And just copy and paste the content. And we'll do a text block for this. Boom. All right. And also, let's drop in that image of that icon. All right, so for this icon, we need to set a width on it, but also we need to pull it up and out. So I think for this, I'm going to create a custom class, and we'll call this card icon. Let's try 3 rem, maybe 5 rem looks pretty good. Let's do 2 rem on bottom. And then here we'll do -2 rem. And bump that up. Just like visually. There we go. -4.3 looks about right. Okay, and then we also need a box shadow. So for here, we can do box shadow medium, like so. Perfect. And we'll just duplicate that. Receive your copy. Love it, or we'll rewrite it. All right, and then we'll just swap out the icons. And here we'll do the heart. Perfect. All right, then we have this ready to get started section. So the idea for this is the left column will be sticky and scroll with you. And then the right column will show the illustration and then some FAQs below that. So how we'll set this up is go to the body, we'll drop in another section, do section out base to match the others. Inside of here, we'll do a div and we'll make this container 1280. All right, and then we will do, let's see, a div for the grid. Let's do grid 2 columns. And I think this one we want to be a little bit different. So I'm going to do a combo class and I'm gonna call this FAQ grid. And I'm just gonna edit it so this row is a little bit smaller. Let's do like maybe 0.5, and then let's bump up the spacing in between to like 6 rem. Okay, so here, let's drop in a div. I'm gonna, let's see, get ready to start That can be a text block. And we'll do text medium for this. We'll also do a heading. Paste that in. And we'll do a button. Add a class of button on that. And then we also need a text block. And this will be text small. Let's do text extra small. And we'll also do margin top of 3, just to space it out a little bit more. Okay, then for this, we just need to space it out a little bit. So let's do margin bottom 12. Perfect. And then here we need a div to wrap everything. Let's do an image for that illustration. Perfect. And then below that, we want the FAQ grid. So for this, we can use a 1-column grid. Let's see, let's do a grid of 1 column. And we'll do a div, drop in a heading, make this an H4, and a text block. Like so. And let's do a max width of medium on this. And then margin X auto to center it, like so. Okay. Then we can just copy and paste that a few times. Beautiful. You know, to get the position sticky to work, what we're gonna do, let's drop in a div, and I'm just gonna pull this up and then put all that content inside that div. And we'll do sticky top 2. So that's 2 rem from the top, like so. Beautiful. All right, so now as somebody's reading the FAQs, the call to action still sticks with them. All right, next up, let's real quick add the navigation and the footer. So I'm gonna open up everything. Let's do a navigation bar and just pull that to the top. So what we want to do here, let's add a container class of 1280 to the default container. For the logo, let's drop in an image, and we're going to do this little logo.svg. For the container, we can do a flex row of middle to center everything. And then let's push the menu back over and do margin left of auto. Perfect. All right, and then the nav bar, let's go ahead and add a color, background, color, body, like so. Beautiful. And then the footer is pretty simple. We'll just use a flex row and space it out. So let's go to the body, drop in a section, and inside of here, we'll do a div. Let's do container 1280. Inside of that container, we'll do another div, and we'll do flex space between. And then we can do an image for the logo. And on the other side, we will do a text block for the copyright. And then on the section, let's do padding Y6 to add 1.5 rem of margin on top and bottom. And then let's do a border top of 1 pixel. And you can see the border automatically inherits the border color that we defined on the other page. Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit. So on tablet, let's go ahead and do a margin left of auto on the button. Let's go ahead and remove the max width from this. Let's do tablet max width full to make it go 100%. And then we could also do, if we want, tablet column justified center, like so, and then text align center. All right, and then this image, let's do a tablet max width of, let's say, medium. And then let's do landscape max width full. And we'll also do a margin X of auto. Okay, so it goes to a max width of full on tab, or it goes to a max width of medium on tablet, and then it goes full size on landscape. Perfect. So for the grid elements, Hatch doesn't come with breakpoint overrides for this. So what we're gonna do is instead just add a combo class, and we'll call this logo grid. And we'll change this to, let's keep it 4 columns on tablet. On portrait, let's go to 2 columns. And then on mobile, we'll go to 1 column. Or landscape will go to 2 columns. Portrait will go to 1 column. All right, and then we'll do the same here. We'll call this how it works, grid. And I think for this, let's just go ahead and do 1 column for each of these, but we need to space it out a bit. So we'll jump up the rows to maybe like 4.5 rems. Okay, that looks good. And then this one already has the FAQ grid. So we'll go to 1 column here, make sure it goes 1 FR. And then these ones, we want to do a tablet max width of full. And we'll just add that combo class to these ones as well. And then we want to space out this content, so we'll do margin top 12. All right, so obviously Hatch doesn't do everything for you. The idea is to just give you classes to speed you up a little bit, and then you can add custom stuff as needed. Anyway, if you want to check out Hatch, it's available to clone so you can use it for your projects. I would love to hear what you think. If you have any thoughts or feedback on how I can improve it, please let me know. Find me on Twitter. I'm at McKinseyChild. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy using Hatch for your projects.